feels at first, but now it's much more recognised. I mean, in schools they sort of look, they know all about it and stuff. So.
When you got your dyslexia diagnosis, if that's the right word to use, was it a relief to know that there was a recognised condition and that's you'd been through all that sort of heartache about it?
Yeah, well, that was in was it '96? So it was a relief, because it had been quite a struggle to get to sort of university in the first place, and I ended up at the best sort of art school in Europe. So I was quite lucky in Bournemouth. So I met lots of really interesting people there, particularly in the film school, and a lot of other writers who sort of helped me, and it gave me a lot of confidence, because that's when I started kind of really writing reviews, and all the assignments that I was given were sort of encouraging my writing. And I think the tutor thought, well, this just isn't adding up, so let's get you tested. And I was sort of tested by this lovely old lady who said, yes, you've got not only dyslexia but dyscalculia too, which explains my mathematical difficulties despite being a cricket fanatic.
Yeah.
But I'm not very good with averages. But yeah, no, and basically that it was a sort of relief to answer. Yeah, of course it was. Yeah.
So how do you work now with your cricket? We'll talk about cricket in a moment, but with your writing, do you have to get it checked in a certain way, or have you developed strategies to cope with your dyslexia?
Well, there's funny tricks you can do. You can sort of try and read sentences backwards to spot, because when you proofread, particularly if you've got no one to help you do it, it's very difficult to reading the same thing again and again. It sort of drives you a bit up the wall, and you realise, that you haven't spotted a glaring mistake that's been there for ages. No, the way I like to write is just basically, quite a simple old-fashioned plot line. That's why I mentioned all those old dramas that I like. I try and keep my stories fairly simple, and then beef it up later on with ideas when I kind of blitz it when I'm writing.
Yeah.
And then from that haphazardness, I kind of have to get it all formed. And I suppose we're quite lucky, because you can kind of cheat in a way with, Microsoft Word and things with all the spell checks. That does help.
And they do grammar checks as well, don't they? And sort of check
yeah.
Very
useful.
Mine's regularly flashing up. You can't say that. Okay, cricket. Where did the interest in cricket come from?
Well, my childhood. I was, as I say, I had a little bit of coaching. It was a sort of sponsored local schools thing in Westminster, because I sort of grew up in sort of Notting Hill, Paddington area, which sort of big Afro-Caribbean population. And of course, at that time, the West Indies were the greatest team probably of all time, and even up to now. And so that was a big influence. Ian Botham, very biggest sporting star in England at that point too. So, obviously like any kid, apart from tennis, which interested me a little, it was mainly cricket. I just absolutely lived and breathed it. My mother got me into it mainly because she was an absolute avid fan, and I think I picked that up from her sort of the infectiousness of it, really.
And you contemplated a career at one point?
Oh yeah, definitely. I was really, really keen, because I won a few awards at primary school when I was about 11. But what happened, I didn't realise I had a back disability, and it was sort of waiting to happen. And I was used to do judo classes. I was quite a tough in a London area, and I remember my dear grandmother and mum sort of encouraged me to go along. And I had this back accident, and